Hello, and welcome to the Community IT Innovators Technology Topics Podcast, where we discuss nonprofit technology, cybersecurity, tech project implementation, strategic planning, and nonprofit IT careers. Find us at communityit.com. Thank you for joining this Community IT Podcast Part 2. You can find Part 1 in your podcast feed if you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
Welcome, everyone, to this Community IT webinar, What are Cybersecurity Essentials for Nonprofits? My name is Carolyn Woodard. I'm the Outreach Director for Community IT. I'll be the moderator today.
My name is Matthew Eshleman, and as I said, I'm the Chief Technology Officer at Community IT.
My name's Ian Gottesman. I'm the Chief Executive Officer on the NGI SAC.
I did want to go on to, we have another thought question for you and our audience, and that is, why is cybersecurity training so awful? And what could make it more fun? So if you have some ideas on that, please put it in the chat. We're going to talk a little bit about it here. So Matt and Ian, do you have ideas on how it can be more something that people feel really engaged and maybe not excited about, but they understand how they can help protect this organization that they care enough about to work for? So tell us some of your ideas. What works?
You can definitely gamify it, little simple treats or punishments to do it. Like, for example, 1 year, and this is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, which I think why we're doing this. 1 year when I was at an organization, if everyone, I think it was 80% or 90% of our organization completed their monthly training within the first 2 weeks of the month. When we had our monthly, we had like a monthly party the second Friday of every month. I would drink cod liver oil to make me smarter and more aware of cybersecurity oil. And I can just tell you, cod liver oil tastes really, really bad. But people enjoyed watching me drink it, so that really motivated people. And the other thing, like I've used tools like Wombat and KnowBe4 and all of these training tools, and people really enjoy sort of seeing their scores, seeing how they do, providing examples of phishing that they've gotten that then you can use to create examples for other people. Cybersecurity is a risk, like a lot of other risks, and it can be managed and mitigated and transferred in all the ways you deal with risk. And it becomes a risk, like ways to manage it, and you can do audits and things. And you just need to, as an organization, figure out what are those really most important things and how do you protect them, and find easier ways to do that and funner ways to do that. I mean, financial records, donation records, those things are really important to all nonprofits, and you need to make sure that those are secure and that, like, the CRM or AMS or whatever, you're placing all those key things, that you've added as much security as you can there, and that maybe you've done things like have an audit run, use this scoring system that'll give you to say, like, you have a score of 70 out of 100. Here's the things you can do to get the extra 30 points. Do all these things that you can do routinely to help, and do it sort of a step at a time. You can't kind of eat that field of broccoli on January 1st, but if you have a few heads of broccoli every week, then you'll be a lot better off.
I have a friend who gave me this analogy while we're on the health subject of the prevention versus recovery, and that if you do suffer a hack or a breach, it takes a long time and it's really stressful and you're going to spend a lot of money probably too, until your insurance pays for it or whatever. It's like having to go to the ER versus going to see your doctor yearly for your annual checkup. Like, it's not fun, but doing the preventative stuff really can pay off in the long run of helping you not have to do the recovery. So again, some people are putting some really good things in the chat. So we will share those in the transcript. Matt, did you have some ideas on fun stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think I talked about it a little bit kind of in the previous slide in terms of making the training, kind of using different training methods. I would say the other thing that we have tended to do is try to do training instead of it being like one big training once a year, right? Everybody's in the conference room, or you have like this hour-long thing that you need to like slog through. Our approach has been to do shorter but more frequent trainings. So again, like our standard training, right? The big training is maybe 10 or 15 minutes of time. And then, we're typically doing like a 5-minute game, a little video, a quiz, a topical thing. And so trying to mix up the actual training content that folks are receiving. So instead of it being like, all right, you just have to like sit in your desk, or like, there's the all staff meeting where somebody gets up and like talks for an hour nonstop about some cybersecurity topic. That that doesn't seem, right, you endure it and then you kind of forget it after it's happened. But building that culture of security where we're doing a training this month or something next quarter. People are engaged in an internal Slack or Teams channel to be like, oh, I got this weird email. Like, what does this look like? I think those are all good ways to kind of, I don't know, make it engaging, make it a, cybersecurity is something that we just do and talk about all the time. It's not like something that just happens in October during Cybersecurity Month, right? But it's something that really does need to get built into the culture of the organization and kind of happen throughout.
Yeah, no, that's what they say, the cover up is worse than the crime. That definitely encouraging an open community where you're all talking about it and sharing what happened to you, or that something, you clicked on the wrong thing. It's better to be able to tell people. So we never want to have any kind of like shaming culture around the IT cybersecurity training. So I just wanted to go over, we covered a lot really quickly today. We are going to have some time for Q&A in just a minute or two. So if you want to start getting your questions in, either using the Q&A tab or just write in chat, we'll ask Ian and Matt. But if you need more resources, we do have the Community IT Cybersecurity Playbook, which I shared that download with you. We have the cybersecurity library on our site. We have a ton of free resources, articles. You can get in touch with Matt to ask more questions. We have also we did a webinar on cybersecurity insurance, and that has a lot of good information on it if you're kind of confused about what those controls are. I'm also going to share these links for NGO ISAC, which, as Ian said, they have these meetings where they just talk about what's going on, the latest trends, what you should be doing, all of those sorts of things. But I wanted to turn it back over to Ian and Matt. If you want to tell us something you learned over the past year or even the past month, past week, that you'd like people to know about.
Matt, you want to go first?
Let's see. Well, maybe two things. I will plug that, talking about updates, right? Windows 10 just got its last security update this month. So, whenever that story made it onto NPR at least. So, if you are running a Windows 10 computer, it's probably time to upgrade or replace it. So keeping your devices up to date. It sounds basic, but updating your computer and restarting it once a month, right, really does a lot of good.
Once a month. You're being generous. It should be like every day, every week at least.
And then the other thing I will say, it's a little bit techy, right? But the multi-factor authentication, right? Making the switch from, kind of that app-based authentication to switching to a physical security key or what's called a pass key is important. I think particularly if you're in one of those like finance or operations or IT roles, the attackers are very sophisticated in getting people to click on those links and kind of stealing your session. There's a lot of technical detail around that, but just know that the physical security keys are very good at preventing that. And that's again, if you're in that role, like you've got the biggest target on your back. And so taking those steps is important. Again, maybe not everybody in the org is going to be able to do that, but those 3 or 4 people really, really should.
And that's one of those things where, like, if you are doing that phishing training and you can see on your dashboard, like, there's one person that always clicks on everything. Like, even if they're not your executive director, like, maybe they need to have one of those FIDO keys that they have to use. So, Ian, did you want to weigh in? What are lessons learned recently that we want to share?
I don't know how recent it is, but I have a YubiKey here. I hold it up a lot in trainings that I do. So YubiKey does have a free program for nonprofits. You can just get a grant from them for keys. I've been lucky enough to get it at multiple different organizations. They're one of the sponsors of our conference. So if you attend our conference, you'll be getting some keys to play with. So that's one thing you can do. There are a lot of really generous offers from the sector, from cybersecurity vendors to help you figure out things at little or no cost, and Okta has its Okta for Good program, which will give you grants for single sign-on. Microsoft really has pretty steep discount on Google too for their cybersecurity tools. Some of them are free, some of them are really inexpensive. So don't let price and Cloudflare is another really good example. They have a bunch of things for their tools, which includes like website security, email security, bunch of things. So don't let price be the determinative factor in everything you do. Look around and see what options there are for low cost, no cost cybersecurity tools, whether it's doing something with open source or getting a grant or a donation of something. And then a lot of foundations will help you build up capacity around your work, give you general support grant that can be included for cybersecurity or IT resources. And there's a community of us at NGO that can help with these things. So, you're not alone. That I think is one of the hardest things about cybersecurity is you feel like there's this big scary black box that you're staring at, and there's some sort of scary person on the other side. And you've seen TV shows like OK Robot or whatever it's called, where the guy puts his phone in the microwave. Never really understood that, but it's very makes for exciting when you see it's barking and he's doing the stuff and he's got a dark hood on. That's not really real life any more than like the Fast and the Furious is like your commute in Washington D.C. every day. It's what makes a compelling TV show or a compelling movie. What's real life is just sort of the day-to-day stuff of like making sure you have multi-factor authentication set up, making sure you've got something helping monitor your emails and your texts and your messages so the really bad stuff isn't getting through. You've trained your staff on how to not click on things and know what to look for, and just pause for a minute. That's what the whole Take 9 is about. Take 9 seconds and pause and ask somebody, whether it's an IT person in your office, person that sits next to you, and say like, this is a weird email or this is a weird text. Should I really be getting a text from my boss who's traveling right now to buy iTunes gift cards? I'm going to let you in on a secret and say the answer is no on that one. And I'm sure most people know, but that's one that people get a lot, especially new employees. So really just make sure you have those resources and those things, and you kind of do it one step at a time and figure out what that first step is for you. Where do you want to concentrate on that initial thing? Is it updates? Is it security around certain core applications, certain key staff? Is it, making sure you have a good inventory so you can run updates, or train all your staff with phishing? There's just a lot of different places to start. But like any other journey, you just start with the first step, and and that'll help get you in the right direction.
I love that we have several board members here, because I want to say that's probably maybe an overlooked asset. You might be able to get a board member on your side who understands how important cybersecurity is to the organization. That's the board's mission, is to make you be successful. So they can also help get that set up. We have some questions coming in. Keep them coming. I want to make sure to talk about what Community IT does, our cybersecurity offerings. Matt is in charge of this kind of area of our services. You can find more about it at communityit.com/cybersecurity, which I'll put in the chat also. We've got a lot of previous webinars. We do 3 or 4 webinars on cybersecurity every year. We have downloads. We have articles on cybersecurity on our site, information on insurance controls, the playbook, other resources on training your staff. I want to make sure that we do have time to get to some Q&A, but if you do have more questions, get in touch with us. You can schedule time with Matt, get in touch with Ian right through his website. You can schedule time with him to talk about what they need to do. We have our Reddit community thread. I just want to re-emphasize what Ian just said. Like, you can feel alone, especially if you clicked on that link and you're like, the second afterwards, you're like, oh no, why did I click on that? I was going too fast. I didn't really read it, and now I've got a big problem. You're not alone. There's a lot of people who want to talk with you about this, help you with this. So make sure you talk to people. All right, so I'm going to put up, this is how you get in touch with both of these wonderful people. But we also have some good questions coming through. So a couple different people said, can you provide the link for the security key that is the physical key, the YubiKey or the FIDO key, it's also called sometimes. If we can put that in chat, we'll also share that in the transcript. We have a couple questions in here. So one is, I feel like this was touched on, but I may have missed it. Is there a known org that specializes in doing risk analysis for nonprofits? So do you guys want to I mean, Ian, this may be a
Sure. There's a lot of different places you can go to do that. I mean, you could go to like NIST or CIS. There's a lot of different cybersecurity frameworks. There's a lot of different controls. The Cyber Peace Institute, which we're a partner with, has a free assessment you can do, and then they have volunteers to help you conquer what they call missions to help you fix things. So that's a really good place you can go. And I think I'm trying to remember the exact URL. I think it's cpb.ngo, and that's a self-directed test you can do. Let me double check that that's right.
We will share all of these.
Yeah,
Like, we'll
it
make
is
sure we have the right links.
cpb.ngo. So that's a free test you can do. You walk through it. It takes about 45 minutes. It has a little wizard or bot or whatever you want to call it to help answer questions because maybe you don't understand what MFA is or some of the other questions that specifically asked, and that can help you do that. They also even have a mission, which they call, to have someone help walk you through that. They have about 1,500 volunteers helping them. So that's a good place to go. The YubiKey program is called Secure It Forward. It's a very simple grant application. I can share this with Caroline, who can post it. It's specifically for organizations that promote and protect like free speech and democracy, but they have a pretty broad definition of that. And if you are inclined to apply for it, I would recommend doing it. They're engaged in our community. You can ask them questions about that. There are just a lot of different options out there to help with things, and to get this stuff done, risk can be your friend. It can help if you're showing how these exercises you're taking, like training or getting pass keys or whatever, or physical keys, is preventing a risk, but making sure your organization can do the work it's done. It's a much better to like give everyone pass keys and spend, I don't know, an hour applying for the application and a few more hours training people how to use them and handing them out, than discovering like, oh no, someone broke into our ERP, our financial system, and has like misappropriated hundreds of thousands of dollars, which I've heard that horror story before. Or like someone misappropriated somebody else's check by like constantly spamming your HR person, and now direct deposits are going to like a weird place, and very quickly like things are going pear-shaped. So it's much better to spend a little bit of time and sort of figure out what your risks are and what you're concerned about, and then coming up with training or tools or whatever that mitigate that risk and transfer that risk to someone else. So, moving things to the cloud, or using physical keys, or making sure everybody's gotten training, or whatever it is that can help make that risk less likely to happen.
We have a question about a specific company, which I'm going to say at the outset, like, we're not going to recommend any particular vendor. I think one of the things we would say is, like we said, you're not alone. Like, you have peers at other nonprofits as well. So, and there are, like, there's other Reddit boards. There's a Reddit just for nonprofits, r/nonprofits, where you can ask questions like this as well. I would say that is a better option to like try and get what your peers think of different tools and vendors, to try and find out, like what's a good value for you. And like Ian was saying, and Matt as well, there are lots of discount programs. Like, as soon as you say that you're a nonprofit, you may find that they have discounts or other options for you. So, but I would definitely say NGO ISAC is a great place to talk about like this vendor, that vendor, try to figure out. The question was about Comcast cybersecurity for business. There's a bunch out there that are, and like when you look at their websites, it's always like fear, scared, be afraid, use our company. And, of course you do need to be careful, but you do need to, find a company that will work with you, answer your questions so that you know what you're getting into, what you should be working on first, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're almost out of time. We probably have time for one more question. It's a big one. So in one sentence or so, we haven't talked about AI yet at all today. And it seems like AI is changing cybersecurity. So do you want to each say just one quick thing about AI? Just one little quick
One
thing
thing about
I would
trillions of
say-
dollars of our economy.
Well, what I would say, what we see, I think, without a doubt, is that AI makes phishing attacks more believable and and authentic and easy and cheaper for threat actors to affect. So it's making it harder for sure.
Yeah. I think obviously AI is a big buzzword. There's a huge investment in our economy. There's, we've all used or seen all these AI tools, but it's become sort of a weapons, a Cold War weapons race where there's AI on the defenders and AI on the attackers. But ultimately, I think the most important thing is like kind of covering those fundamentals that we've talked to over and over and over again here. And if you've done the things like train your staff and have good identity management and all these other things, like the AI is just uh, it's just another way to send a phishing email. But if your staff knows what a phishing email looks like, it can avoid it. Or it's another way to scan your network for things that are unpatched. But again, if your devices are patched, you can do that. And once you've got those sort of 3 or 4 fundamental things done, which are, it's not simple, but I know that there's nonprofits out here doing really cool, awesome work, like getting kids to summer camps that never go out into the country and they're riding horses and doing fun stuff like that, or teaching people to swim, or teaching people to read, or bringing world peace, and going to crazy places and counting and war zones and counting up the kind of arms that people are using. Like that you can do your cybersecurity. Like that is something I'm 100% confident in. Like so many awesome mission-driven work do these really complicated, hard things. Cybersecurity isn't as hard as the day-to-day work that nonprofits do every day, all day. And I think that's something you need to remember.
I love that. It's a great way to formulate it, to think about how complicated your mission is, and you're doing that. So cybersecurity is not as hard. That's true. All right, I want to go quick through our learning objectives. I think we covered pretty much everything. We wanted to learn what practices go farthest to protect your organization, learn to train against phishing, perform those updates, prioritize that identity management so that all your systems know the person logging in is the person that it's supposed to be. We heard some ideas on making cybersecurity more fun for everyone on the staff. Thank you, everyone who contributed your ideas in the chat. We discussed lessons learned this year, next steps. Took some Q&A. I want to make sure that I invite everybody back next month for our last webinar of 2025. We're going to hear all about the N10 Equity Guide for Nonprofit Technology. That's N as in nonprofit, T as in technology. I'm not sure what the E and the N is for, but it's NTEN, Equity Guide for Nonprofit Technology. It's a free download from the N10 website, which is updated for 2025. I can't wait to welcome the Equity and Accountability Director, Tristan Penn, to join us for our next webinar. He's going to talk about how you learn to use this Equity Guide to address your IT strategy for things like inclusivity, especially in this age of AI. On their website, they also have a companion resource for board members, helping guide your IT strategy. So for all those board members on today, you can find that right at their site. That's at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific on Wednesday, November 19th. And I just want to thank Ian and Matt. Thank you so much for joining us today for an hour. We got to ask you all of our questions. It was like having our super smart friends here explaining and answering our questions about cybersecurity for nonprofits. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody in the audience who joined us. We know an hour of your time is a gift. We hope that you got a lot out of it and learned a lot today. As always, you can contact us, contact Ian, contact Matt if you have more questions or just don't know where to start. That's totally an acceptable place to be in, but we really encourage you to take those first steps and get some cybersecurity underway for your nonprofit. So Ian and Matt, thank you again so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having us. Happy to do it, and hope everybody has a good rest of the day and a good rest of the Cybersecurity Month. At the end of the month, we'll probably be celebrating by handing out candy and dressing up in costumes. So that's always something to look forward to.
That's right. Cybersecurity Month in October. Matt, thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Thanks, Carolyn. Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining this Community IT Podcast Part 2. You can find Part 1 in your podcast feed if you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Community IT does these free webinars and podcasts for our community, and we love sharing our knowledge and experience. If you have more questions or are having trouble with your IT at your nonprofit, please get in touch with us on our website, www.communityit.com, so we can start a conversation or schedule an assessment. Downloading any of our free resources there will get you signed up for our webinar reminders, and you can attend our next webinar in real time and ask our experts your own questions. If you love podcasts, please subscribe and leave us a rating to help others find this leadership resource for nonprofits.